Hello world. How's everybody doing? Another beautiful day. It's what Thursday. Look, Sony and Sqaure got a history together. A huge, long history. Since PlayStation 1. Final Fantasy 7 put PlayStation 1 on the map, and then PlayStation 1 took off, and Sony hasn't looked back since. They got a huge history together, man. So they're like glue. They're partners in crime, man. Those two together, man. Sony and Square stuff. Oh yeah, they got a history, man. I would love. I found this article today. Talking about Square Enix might be part of the PlayStation Studios. But I saw this coming because you know the history of Sony and Square. And then what made it solidify it was when they put that time exclusive on Final Fantasy VII, the remake, right? That's one. But then you got Final Fantasy 16 is a PlayStation 5 game only, and then there's the Final Fantasy Online, and then you put a 2-year time exclusive, 24 months on a Thea, and then it took off from there. So Sony and Square got a history together, man, and SquareSoft with Final Fantasy put PlayStation on the map, and they became good friends, buddies, brothers, sisters, husband, wife, you want to call it, twins. Oh yeah, they're Bonnie and Clyde. You name it, Sony and Squaresoft, man. They got a history together, man. And one thing I do, with PlayStation 1, with them jewel cases, man, those RPGs that they had, whew, I think one of my favorite PlayStation 1 RPGs, I think, was many people were talking about Xenogears. I didn't get into it. I haven't even finished Xenogears yet. But Vagrant Story is one of my favorite RPGs till this day, man. From Square, and they should have did a remake to that game with the PlayStation 4, but now we got PlayStation 5 with ray tracing and teraflops and all that. Come on, man. I want a Vagrant Story here. Vagrant Story, please. Anyway, found this article today. You know what I'm saying? So Sony and Squaresoft, man, they got a history. Yeah, man. You can't break that union, man. They're that close, man. They're that close. They're that close, and got a good relationship. So yeah. They have a history. Their history has been over almost four generation of consoles going on to the fifth. Oh yeah. So you want Final Fantasy games? Yeah, check out PlayStation. Don't get me wrong, you got some Final Fantasy games on Nintendo. Even though Square started with Nintendo, but Nintendo lost that relationship when they didn't listen to their. It's kind of like husband and wife. You're supposed to listen to your spouse, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? So you're supposed to listen. So yeah, Sony and Square got a history together, and yeah, and yes, they did drop hitters, man. You best believe it. They did drop hitters, and when they drop hitters, they drop hitters. So yeah, those two. Oh yeah, they got a long partnership, man, and they put some good games out, man. But it looked like they're really trying to solidify that friendship again. But anyway, so I found this article today, and the title reads this. It's a rumor though, but I don't believe it's a rumor. I think it's official, based off what I just told you. Rumor claims Square Enix will become part of PlayStation Studios. But to me, this is the counter what Microsoft did with that 7.5 billion Bethesda deal. It stings. Yeah, it stings, man. That hurts. It hurts. So Sony's trying to counter with Square because that's why they got Final Fantasy 15 to themselves. They put a 2-year time exclusive on a Thea. The Xbox fans gotta wait a year for Final Fantasy Remake, which means it comes out in about another month from now, February, about another month. And then they got Final Fantasy Online on the PlayStation and all that. So yeah, Sony and Square got a history, man. So I was not surprised by this rumor when I saw this because it's official. Because they were most YouTubers was telling you that It was game mechanics why the Avengers fail. That's all. That sounds good and all, but that ain't the truth. The real history, the real issue is Sony is the console manufacturer. Square Enix is the publisher. Crystal Dynamics is the developer. Square and Sony got history since PlayStation 1. So if they try to do something, so if Crystal Dynamics try to do something, they got to go through Square in order to make that happen. That's what was happening with the game. Most YouTubers try to white knight for Sony so they don't look bad talking about, oh, it's game mechanics. They try to fool you guys. But what you just heard from me is the truth. But anyway, um, Sony and Square got a history, man, since PlayStation 1. And when Final Fantasy 7 came out on PlayStation 1, they took off. They hit the ground running, man. I mean, for every one game that Nintendo was getting, PlayStation was dropping 8 or 10 on them. That's how crazy it was with PlayStation 1. When PlayStation 1 was out, for every one game that Nintendo was getting, PlayStation was dropping between 8 or 10. Okay? It was no joke, man. PlayStation was dropping hitters, man. They took off. And the RPG market blew up because of Final Fantasy 7. The RPG market on consoles, it blew up. PlayStation 1 got a flood of RPGs. Same thing with PlayStation 2. Same thing with the 3. You want RPGs? PlayStation. But you can find some. You can find Final Fantasies on Xbox. 12, 10-1, 10-2, 7, 8, 9. But PlayStation, yeah, they got RPGs. But anyway, so like I said, Sony and Square Enix are like partners in crime. Bonnie and Clyde, however you want to put it. You know what I'm saying? Husband and wife, twins. You know what I'm saying? Triplets, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? Bread and butter, peanut butter and jelly. That's how Sony and Square Enix is, man. Oh yeah. So anyway, so when I saw this today, I'm like, okay, I'm not surprised by it, but I know why they're doing this, because they're trying to counter what Microsoft did with that 7.5 Bethesda deal, and then the owners of Bethesda said what Microsoft owns, Sony can't get. So that means Elder Scrolls 6 ain't coming on PlayStation. You can forget it. Then you got what's his name? Phil Spencer, who came on and said they won't be forced into making games for other platforms, and they say they will deal with games on a case by case basis. So the competition between Sony and Microsoft is real. Yesterday there was an article talking about how the PlayStation 5 Blu-ray player is better than the Xbox Series X. But that's like when the developers, I think it was last year, over Call of Duty, when they came out and they were like, oh, we prefer the color blue over the color green. But they were just trying to start controversy. But it's competition between Sony and Microsoft. So what else is new? But anyway, this article goes like this. Where is it at? It's a rumor though, but I don't believe it's a rumor. It's facts. Because after what happened with Namco with PlayStation 2 back in the day with the Soul Calibur 3, and then Capcom on PS4 with the Street Fighter 5, I am not surprised by this. But anyway, here's what the article. Rumor claims Square Enix will become part of PlayStation Studios. So yeah, but it already started based on the games based on the whole time exclusive. But anyway, I'm just gonna read a little part of it. Just a little part. It says here, the rumor train has rumbled into town once again. This time, news has leaked regarding Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is set to become a PlayStation PC exclusive, allegedly. Increasingly, the same rumor also claimed that Square Enix will soon become a Sony studio. That's the count of Bethesda Microsoft. But anyway, it says here, Square Enix RPG revamped the first release on the PS4 in 2020, featuring renewed visuals and mechanics, as the game is a PS4 time exclusive until March 2021. Many Xbox fans have been eagerly awaiting the game release on their console of choice. However, if these latest rumors are to be believed, it looked like Microsoft might be missing out on the release altogether. Says here, the latest Latest round of rumors was brought to our attention by Twitter leaker Sqaure Talks, who made the following comments in regards emerging whispers and hearsay. News is leaking seems some YouTubers reporting on this today, and yes, they're correct. The definition edition, unsure if retain the name for launch, will be PS5 and PC only title. Why Square Enix are preparing to become a part of PlayStation Studios over the next 24 months. That means time exclusive, y'all. But anyway, but it says here, there's nothing that's currently validates these rumors, but Sony / Square Enix partnership could make a lot of sense. The industry has been abundant with mergers and deals recently. Microsoft buying Bethesda, like I told you guys, and Embracer Groups grabbing Gearbox. If Sony isn't careful, it could see itself faced with strong exclusive competition with Microsoft, something that the company has managed to prevail with during the last generation. So so Square Enix becoming part of PlayStation Studios is nothing new. Sony and Square got history since PlayStation 1. That's a fact. They got history. And once PlayStation 1 got Final Fantasy, all because of Nintendo stupidity. So what happened? Sony was supposed to build a CD system for the Super Nintendo, but to me, like Sony like shortchanged. To me, like Sony like played like shortchanged the CD system and used that as a way to get into the console business. And then SquareSoft, they were trying to move away from cartridges, and then the 64 couldn't handle the type of games that the PlayStation 1 was getting. But then Resident Evil 4, Capcom, somebody port Resident Evil 4, not Resident Evil 4, but Resident Evil 2 to the Nintendo 64 to show that the 64 can handle full motion videos. But anyway, but Square Enix, they were trying to get away from cartridges, and then Sony fixed the PlayStation, brought the PlayStation to the market, and then Sony was using CDs, and then SquareSoft saw that, and then them and Sony is like this. They became friends, buddies, husband, wife, bread and butter, peanut butter and jelly, you name it, ice cream with cake, you name it. That's how they were. And PlayStation 1 just took off. So the relationship started there. And Final Fantasy VII was responsible for the PlayStation 1 success. Facts. Final Fantasy VII was responsible for the PlayStation 1 success, because once people saw Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1, it opened a floodgate, a tsunami of games. And I'm telling you, for every one game that the Nintendo 64 was getting, PlayStation was getting between 8 to 10 games, man. I mean, they kept coming. PlayStation kept coming. I mean, they took off. It was like catch me if you can, man. They took off. So Sony and Square got history, man. So when I was telling you guys what was happening with the Avengers game, that it was a Sony and Square issue because of their history together, and Crystal Dynamics is the developer, Squaresoft is the publisher, Sony the console manufacturer. So Crystal Dynamics got to go through Sony and Square because they got history. And Sony won the Avengers game to become like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance because they can't they don't have the rights to Marvel Ultimate Alliance. That's why the Avengers game was getting jammed up. So Sony and Square got history, man. So I am not surprised by this news. They got a long history together. You can find Final Fantasy games on the PlayStation Vita, PSP, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and of course PS5. So yeah, they got a history together, man. I would love to see them bring Vagrant Story. I would love to see them do it. Love that game, man. Especially with the power of the PlayStation 5, they got to do it. They got to do it. They have to bring back Vagrant Story. Man, that game got some depth to it. But anyway, Square and Sony, man, they got history together, man. So I wasn't surprised by this, but this is the counter what Microsoft just did, because Microsoft sting the industry. Sting the industry with this Bethesda deal. I mean, sting them, man. Hit them hard, man. Gave them a gut punch. You know, it sent shockwave, man. And you know, but I mean, Microsoft and Bethesda was in talks for 3 years. They were in talks for 3 years before this deal got through. They were in talks for 3 years, man. So they were behind the scenes talking while everybody else was distracted with everything. Microsoft was in the background making moves. So yeah, they had to do this, because just to send a message to Sony like, hey, we ain't chopped liver over here, but we got something to say about what you saying. So anyway, that's video games for you. But anyway, so you know, Microsoft had to do it, but Sony and Square, oh man, they got history, man. A history, you know, from the day Sony went CD, came out with that CD system, they never looked back. They went from a 600 to 700 megabyte CD to DVDs, and that made Square happy. To Blu-rays, that made Square even more happy, and then they just took off. Sony has not looked back since. So Sony and Square, man, are like peanut butter, jelly, ice cream with cake, bread and butter. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, man. Yeah, that's how the relationship, man. The relationship is. They're real. They're good buddies, and plus they're both Japanese companies too. You know, so they're in each other's backyard. So yeah, oh yeah. So Microsoft had to do what they had to do to send a message to them, like, hold up, man, we ain't chopped liver over here, but we got something to say to y'all. We got something to say. If you want something, get something. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? So this right here, I knew this was gonna happen, man. Because I mean, if Namco is a Japanese company, and they fell into the same situation, Capcom is the same thing. They fell into the same situation. It was only a matter of time, and then before Square, you know, Square was gonna fall in because of their history. So yeah, man. I mean, good move on Sony, but that Microsoft deal really stings, man. It really stings, and I would love to see them. I would love to see them bring back Vagrant Story. I would love. I mean, Xenogears is one thing, but that Vagrant Story, whew, yeah, my type of game. You know, PlayStation had two Zelda killers. They were trying to kill Zelda. They were trying to kill Zelda. They had Alundra, and then they had Vagrant Story, man. Those two games, they were trying to. Man, they win at Nintendo, boy. PlayStation was Sony wasn't playing. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, oh yeah, yeah. 3, yeah. It's all good, man. It's competition, but anyway, man. Like I said, I'm not surprised by this, man. That it was already in the works. Moves here, moves here, moves there, moves here, moves there. You know this was gonna happen, but I still think the Xbox fans are still gonna get the Final Fantasy VII remakes. But those other Final Fantasies, like 16 and Athea, they got Xbox fans gotta wait 2 years. 16 they ain't getting. Forget it. They're not getting it. So yeah, they might have to play it on PC, but yeah, man, Sony and Square got history, man. So yeah, that's the way it is between those two, man. Inseparable, man. They're like a wishbone, basically. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like the wishbone. You know, like a wishbone is like that bone inside of a chicken is like jointed together. Yeah, kind of hard to separate them two. Sony and Square. Oh yeah. You know, Sony, they just, man, they have a good history, man. They got a good history. But Microsoft had to do what they had to do, like, dude, we're not chopped liver over here, but we got something to say to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Send a message to the industry, like we got money over here, but and we can get what we want, but so yeah, so this little news, ain't worry about it. But anyway, I'm gonna leave a link in the description box so you can read this article for yourself. And nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek thing. Or Dark Side. I'm gone. Peace. Dope, dope.